Nichols again with Growth Word Consulting, and I am joined today by a client that I've been working with for about 2 years, Cora Carlson, Cora, remind me how long you've been in the industry.
Well, I just got my 25-year pin, and so that kind of reminds me how long I've been in the business because I forgot.
A long time, right?
And yeah,
right.
realtors just gave me a 25-year pin.
That's fun. Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations. And you work in the Maxwell Valley in Alaska, so a relatively small community, and you kind of got your start in the industry because your husband is a builder. He's a general contractor.
Correct.
So you guys did a lot of construction throughout the community. And then you have some niches in lakefront and aviation. You guys are pilots. You're true Alaskans, pilots with lakefront. And the reason I wanted to chat today and share your story is because you and I got connected a couple of years ago. We've known each other for years, but we got connected in our professional relationship through coaching when I started talking about a passion that I have around helping realtors turn their practice into a business so that they can sell it, right? So that they have something to sell and they don't sadly do what a lot of people do is just retire and walk away or realize too late that they're way behind that curve. So talk to me a little bit about where you were at in your mindset when you came to me and said, I really want to build a business I can sell.
Well, a few years ago, I switched from a company that was a boutique brokerage, if you will. It was not connected in any way to a franchise. And a friend of mine came over to Keller Williams. She asked me if I wanted to join as well. And immediately I jumped right into Ignite. And I'd never been to a class like Ignite before, and how it was like hitting the ground running. And ever since then,
what specifically was about it? For those of us who are not KW, what specifically was it about Ignite that that like struck something in you?
Lit a fire under my butt. So it did. It ignited in me the amount of business that was out there, and how I already had systems in place to take advantage of that. And I was not using what I had to its best and fullest ability. And I do have a bit of a competitive nature. And so that sounded like, that was kind of fun to me to kind of think about, oh, well, hey, I could do this and I could do that. And look at this. I never even thought about this idea. There were so many new ideas and things that I thought had died, like open houses. I was just sure open houses were dead. It wasn't worth it to do it anymore. When I went to Ignite, it absolutely showed me open houses are not dead. It's all about how you make them come to light. And so I really learned a lot. And I think that since I went to that class, I just haven't stopped. It has just been on a roll. Now, I was encouraged to go to that class by a coach that I had at the time, and I'd never been coached before. I always thought, coach, what do you need a coach for? I'm not trying to get a basketball into a hoop. And so it didn't make sense to me to have a coach. So when I came to KW, there was a young woman who I met, and she was a coach, and she really helped me understand the day-to-day goals to meet what you want for your end of the year goal. And that is all I'd ever done. I'd never mapped out my career all the way to the end. I had only done it year by year by year. Well, then after I saw so much improvement after hiring that coach, then you and I spoke, and you talked to me about, well, what are you going to do, when you get ready to retire? Because I told you I have this fantastic goal that I'm going to retire in August of 2026. And you said, well, what are you going to do with your business? And I was like, I have no clue.
Right. So, nobody talks about, people don't talk about it.
No.
And I shouldn't say they don't talk about it, but it's not something that most solo entrepreneurial realtors are thinking about, right? Or lenders, or right?
Because what do I have to sell? Well, then you started telling me about, well, what do doctors have to sell when doctors sell their practices, and attorneys? Well, they sell their clients. And you said, that's it. Exactly. You sell your database and your systems that you put into place. And then it was like this light clicked on, and man, everything came down to that goal. And even though I have the yearly goals and I have my monthly goals and all of that, because I'm a very goal-oriented person, but that is such a huge picture, and it's been really fun watching it all come together.
So I want to talk about fun. I'm going to call you out just a little bit here, but I really want to paint the picture of where you were just 2 short years ago and where you are today. And and I think it's a great thing about you are so many of your original systems are still with you. One of them being your newsletters, right? You have this beautiful newsletter that you do every single month. And 2 years ago, who was printing, folding, and addressing those
Oh,
newsletters?
my Lanta. This idiot right here.
Right. It was.
Oh, and it was so stressful because I would write the newsletter, I'd put it all together, and then I would sit at the office at, like 11 o'clock at night, printing these things out, folding, putting the labels on. And you said to me, what are you doing? And you really encouraged me to get some bids and find out what is your time worth and how much is it going to cost you to do this? So I set a goal of how much I was willing to spend on this newsletter. Well, I found companies right here local in Anchorage, our local companies. I can email it to them. I email them my updated database because I update that database every single month to make sure that addresses are correct. And they stamp it, they fold it, everything. They do everything. I don't have to think about it. Once I hit that button, whoosh, it's out of my head. And then you told me, why are you putting this newsletter together? Well, honestly, truly, I do have a background in illustration and commercial art and graphic. So it was easy for me to put it together. But when I did the calculation of how much time I'm actually spending, clicking that thing and making it all work and come together, I realized just how crazy and stupid it was. So I have an assistant that, kind of thinks like I do. And I told her that the newsletter had to have my voice. It had to sound like me talking to these people in silly, whether it's a silly, stupid joke or whether it's something serious about what they need to focus on in real estate, it had to have my voice. And she has done that. And she puts out that newsletter. I don't even see it. I write one article per month and she does absolutely everything else, follows the pattern, follows the template.
And there's a message in that. So one of the things that you had to overcome, when I said, to sell your business, we have to build something that's selling, something that's not you. Mm-hmm. Like you, and it was a huge shift for you to understand that you didn't have to do all the things and that other people could do them for you. And sometimes even a little bit better. So that was a huge shift for you. But we had to do that across the board in your business. At that point, you had a transaction coordinator-ish and no assistant. You're doing your own newsletter. So we started there, and the goal was, how do we build a story that shows through every intentional thing in your system, it generates this much business, which in turn generates this much profit. That really happens even if you don't show up, because you recently took almost a month off, and we now have in your plans, like, I'm going to start taking a month off at a time, right? In your business. Are we concerned about your business?
No, because I have it all, it's all set in place, and I don't have to stress about leaving. I used to really stress about, oh my gosh, I've got to get all this stuff done. No, I don't anymore. It's all taken care of. All the systems are in place to take care of it.
2 hours kind of shortened up, or 2 years. First thing we did was start looking at how you're spending your time and get you hyper aware of what your time is worth. You're so coachable, Cora. And that's what I just love about you so much, is you are so coachable. You just don't fight. Like, once you see the logic, you're on it.
Well, that's true. Once I see the logic, it's yes.
You went through a few hires. Right. A few admin hires.
I did. Well, what I did was I thought, I am a very practical person. And and very financially practical as well. And so I did a
VA.
What am I thinking of? A VA.
You did a VA.
Yes. And actually the one that I had, she was really good. Better than I was at managing her. I was kind of at a loss as to what to do. And she actually kind of guided me as to what she needed, which was great. She was really good at that. And she was very good at spreadsheets and all that, which spreadsheets to me are logical and I understand them and I use them all the time. So we were a good match and I worked with her for a year. There were a lot of things though that were just lost in translation. There were things that I could not put on her plate because she just didn't understand. And one of the things which cracked me up was I said I had this house on Big Lake and, you know, and it had some acreage to it. So when she saw acreage, she thought farmland. And so she did this beautiful flyer all about this wonderful farmland. So, you know, there were lots of things like that that just didn't work. And she ended up getting pregnant and she was older. And so she had to quit and I had to get another VA, which did not work at all. Well, in the time that I hired this VA, her and I decided that we needed to have a real system in place. So we did everything on a spreadsheet and I hired a gal temporarily who was who used to work for a company that another brokerage. Anyway, she helped me get it all in place. She was moving to Michigan and I thought, oh man, I wish I could hire you for my assistant. Well, when she got to Michigan, we were still working together. And I thought, well, she's not really a VA, but she understands cultural things. She understands the area. And so I hired her part-time to help me get my system in place. Then I realized that I really, truly needed an assistant, someone that could be in the office with me at least a couple days a week.
Right,
so
your person it's right here.
Yeah, and I went to that class that you encouraged me to go to. And at first I thought, oh, blardy blar. I've hired and fired lots of people in my lifetime. But that was very enlightening. I was really, really glad I took that class. And I was really glad I took the steps in hiring who I got. And so she's been with me over a year. We work very well together. We have the three of us now, because I still have the gal in Michigan, we have regular meetings together over Zoom and help each other out, making sure that there's no holes in our system.
Right. And constantly improving it. So 2 years ago, you did business the way you've always done it, which brought you business up and down over years. But today you have very predictable, systematic processes in place.
I do.
That just run. So we have a full database with a 36 touch. We have listing systems, transaction systems, contract to close, like all the systems are there and in place. We've been working super hard these last 6 months on your financial systems, your profit and loss, your balance sheet. But here's what's beautiful now. 2 years later, we can open a book, like you literally have a book that says, this is my profit and loss statement. These are my sources of income. Like these are my 5 top lead sources. This is exactly how much income they generated. And it's exactly what it cost me to operate these systems. That's the story, right? That's how we tell a story. But here's the cool, go ahead.
Well, and I'm a very visual person. So, you know, I mean, I can look at my bank account and go, oh, okay, you're doing okay. But then I'll lay in bed at night and go, ooh, what about this? And what about that? But when I have it in that notebook and I can flip it open and go, okay, no, we're good. This pays for that. That pays for that. This has improved this. And it makes me be able to sleep at night.
Yep. I'm going to tell on you again, because this whole thing has been a journey, but I think it's worth noting because you're not, you know, most people in our industry are no different than you at some point. And we were working on some plans of yours not long ago. And you said, well, I'd like to make this much money. And I started doing the math with you and I'm like, Cora, that's half of what you've already made this year. And you were like, what? I mean, it's that reality around that profitability that you're coming into contact with. And it's beautiful. Like, it's so fun to watch and see, because I know that for you specifically, that just makes you more competitive. But what I really want to touch on is the unintended consequence of all these systems, of these systems we have in place, of your awareness around where you spend your time and how you spend your time. And I want to preface this, I'm going to ask you to share some numbers, but I want to preface this with, through this entire thing, we've changed nothing about the way you generate business, with one exception. You do make phone calls to your database that you didn't purposely make before. You made them before, but not on purpose.
That's correct.
You don't cold call. You've done nothing that's put you outside of the comfort zone of the business you've always had, with one exception: purpose and intention, right?
Absolutely.
a ton of purpose and intention and systemization behind it. So tell me your numbers from 2018 to today.
Well, 2018, I was with a different company, and I was having trouble understanding why my phone wasn't ringing. What is it that I'm doing or not doing that's making the phone not ring? And at that time, I did about 5 million, which isn't great for me. I mean, I really,
because you've had years previous at like 10, 12, 15 million. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So I didn't get what was happening. And I was going into the office, but I was going into the office and I have to tattle on myself and watching Netflix. So I wasn't running my business. I was sitting there waiting for the doggone phone to ring. I'm still doing my newsletter. And obviously I had time to fold while I was, binge watching some series. So then in 2019, that's when around this time of year, the end of 2018, I came over here, or right around the first part of January 2019. And that's when I hired my first coach, and she was giving me these scripts and stuff like that. And I was just like, there is no way I can talk like this. This does not sound like me. Give me a freaking break. And she just kept saying, well, you gotta, stay in contact with these people. And I had to find my own way to do it. But once I did, I had called her like in March and I said, hey, this is working. My phone is ringing. People are calling me. And I'm just like, I was stunned, absolutely stunned. So in 2019, I did 9 million. So in 2020, that's when
we started building out systems, right?
Yeah. Yes. That's when I really, really had put my systems in place and my systems together. I am very happy I did that, because in 2020, I did 13 million. And by the end of 2021, I will be almost at 18 million. So I really, in a very short time, turned everything around. And that was because of very specific, purposeful work, and work that really wasn't difficult. It was work that I needed to direct and deflect in a different direction. And it was work that was always there. I just wasn't taking advantage of it.
Right. And I love, like, our intention was never to grow your business. That's just an unintended consequence of us, of us building, of us turning a practice into a business, right? Which even tells a better story.
Yes.
And so thank you for sharing those numbers. And and kudos to you for investing in coaching, because, it is an investment, right? You're getting the return you're getting just from that business growth alone is 10 times what your investment is in coaching, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I just had this conversation with somebody yesterday. Somebody popped into my office and said, hey, Cora, do you use a coach? Yeah, actually I use two. And I said, let me tell you something. If you're going to spend $12,000 a year on a coach, what's your average commission on a property? If your average commission is 10,000 and you sell one more property or 1.5 more properties, you've already paid for your coach. And you can tell from my numbers that it's exponentially more than that.
Right. And I won't go into your personal life, but there's a lot of personal stuff that's been in our world too. So while doing all this, we've gotten through some life challenges together and some health growth together. And like all that stuff is a part of our world. And that's what makes it even more, it creates the bigger why, right? It creates the bigger why.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, there were decisions that I made this year because of, my kids we had a very serious illness with one of my grown adult children. I have a granddaughter who has a disability, and as she grows, her disability gets worse. And so I work a lot, but I also take time to be with them and to go do things with
because
them.
We've gotten all the things off your plate that you don't need to do.
That I don't need to do. And it's freed me up without guilt-free, because I can actually go and not feel guilty that I'm leaving my clients, but I mean, I watch my grandchildren when there's a doctor's appointment. I can have a little sewing lesson with my granddaughter that's disabled. I mean, there's so many things. I have to plan for them. but there's so
But
many
now
things
you know
that
that
I need
that's
to know.
okay to plan for
Yep,
them, right? Now you know that it's the
absolutely.
part of life. You plan those things in your life.
Correct. Yeah.
Um, and so I want to look forward a little bit. We're still working a bit on profit and loss and on growing
Hmm.
the financial, painting that financial picture. But we're kind of plug and play right now. Now we're like, let's build the business, let's break some systems, let's keep rebuilding it. And we also thought to ourselves about 6 months ago, what's next? Because you're not ready to retire, right?
Yeah.
We're just increasing the value. At this point, we're just increasing the value of the business
Correct.
and refining systems. So we came up with this not so crazy idea, but it's something that you've worked really hard on. And that's to go to other people who are maybe a few years further along than you and wanting to retire and talking to them about buying their databases.
Yeah, that's been really fun, actually, mostly because I know these people, and we've done deals together, we've laughed together, we've cried together, and so it's been kind of fun to talk to them again and talk to them about their plans and be able to offer them something that they've worked so hard on.
Right. And a quick picture, what it looks like is you take what may or may not be a functioning database, typically not really, but
Correct.
kind of a dying database because
Mhm.
they've been stepping out. We bring it into your systems. We do some co-branding for a while, we rebuild it, and then you pay them out over years as that database produces business,
Correct.
which grows your business,
Mhm.
provides them passive income, increases the value of your business.
It's a
And
win-win for
and,
everybody.
and I just think you're having fun. I think you're just having
I
fun
am.
doing
I
it.
am. I'm constantly on Facebook looking at, oh, hey, she might be thinking about retiring. Or if somebody says, hey, I'm not going to renew my license this year, it's like bing bing. So
Right. Right.
yeah.
And it's a great test of your systems, which I mean, the whole story is coming together fun.
Yeah.
So, and this was not a part of what we talked about before we got on this call, but what do you see in the next 3 years? We've got about 3 years before we start to look for the buyer, right? I
Right.
think 2 or 3 years, it's going to be, if the buyer hasn't appeared in your world, um, if they haven't appeared in your world, then we're going to start looking for who's that buyer of your business so that we can do a smooth transition. What
Yep.
do you see the next 2 or 3 years looking like?
Well, my husband and I did some really out of the box things. I mean, as we've talked before, my husband is 10 years older than me. So he's already, looking at retirement. And we want to do things together. We want to, really have some fun and do things together. So we invested in a house in Florida, and it's being built right now. And it's a place that all of our kids and grandkids can gather and have fun together. Even though we all live close by, there's just something about being able to go someplace different and have a pool
Mhm.
and listen to your grandkids chatter on about just their lives and having so that's been something that's really exciting to both of us. And then just general traveling. I mean, we're doing something. It's such an odd thing. I tell everybody, oh, we're going to Georgia for 10 days. Oh, are you going to visit family? No, we know no one there. We've just never. Has a
Just the beauty
museum
of
that
it.
my husband has a museum he wants to go to. We're going to go to Savannah and just poke around because we've never done it before. So
But the cool thing is you can do it now. Like you can do it, not worry about
absolutely,
anything.
because
We
my
have a showing
systems.
assistant in place, right? Your
Yep.
systems are in place. We have a showing assistant.
Yeah, my
Yep.
systems are in place and with people that I love and trust. And part of that love and trust, it comes from the class that I took about hiring,
Mhm.
because it not only taught me how to hire somebody, but it taught me how to be a good leader and how to expect things from being a good leader. If I'm not a good leader, don't expect great things. So that class was really, really important in showing how to make it all work and how to make it all come together.
Man, bring tears to my eyes because that's number one, right? Lead yourself well. And it's just, yeah, I'm almost excited for whoever gets to buy your business. So
Oh,
5 million, 9 million, 13 million, 18 million. What's your 2022 goal? I know this, but I want you to say it.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
We just did this the other day. We put it on paper. We know your
I
net
know
income goal, which I'm not going to say,
we
but
did. And so I'm going for 20
20
million.
million.
Yeah.
And how many databases are you going to buy next year?
Oh, all of them I can. Well, I want to buy at least 4.
Mhm.
Even if they're not, I mean, some people say to me, oh, well, my database is old, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just let's just pull it together. I can revive this thing, believe me.
Your systems are so scalable. They're so
Yeah.
scalable, and your team is so incredible that.
Oh yeah, it's very easy to do. I mean, I get people who go, I don't even have a database. Well, yes, you do. You just don't have it organized. But I have people that will organize it. So it's a very, for us, it's an easy procce. I mean,
it's funny. You're like, I don't know, I'll do 20 million, but I'm going to buy 4 databases. Like, that's where you get excited.
So
I'm guessing you're going to do 22 million, but that's my secret goal.
Probably. I did do more. I mean, my goal this year was 15 and I did 17. So, yeah. And so, I mean, I've been, now one thing that has happened that I thought that I didn't expect was that my average sales price has gone way up. I used to be right around the 260. Now I know house prices have gone up, but I've been selling $1 million houses. And so my sales price has gone up. My average price has gone up to almost 400,000. And so that makes a big difference.
Do you think you know what you can attribute that to? Because I think I know, but I'll let you go first.
Well, I have worked very hard and diligently with my newsletter to show that, I've been doing this a long time and I know what I'm talking about. But I also write an article for a local real estate publication that goes to everybody's house. And I do the same thing there. So I think that maybe my name has gotten out a little bit more. I'm not quite positive. I'm wondering if that's what you think.
No, here's what I think. I think you have a very, your database is one of more mature people. You have a lot of doctors, you have a lot of pilots, you have a lot of second home buyers in your database. Their price point is typically higher. You've been super purposeful about communicating with your database. So you've been connecting with people in a higher price point. I mean, it could be, the numbers will show at the end of the year, right? When we start to go, where did my business come from? Was it out of my database? Was it repeat and referral? The numbers, we'll know the story very soon when we review those numbers. But
well, my numbers right now definitely show it's my database. Whenever, as soon as I send out a newsletter, within 2 days, I'm usually getting phone calls of people wanting to list or wanting to buy, or they have a child or a friend or parents that are moving here or moving out. So sometimes people just want to chat about the future, what they should do for the future, but always get phone calls.
Okay, so we're at our time, I think, for as long as people will watch, according to statistics. And I want to thank you. I mean, thank you for trusting in me and to do this with you, but also for sharing the story.
It's been so fun, Shana, watching this all happen. My husband came in the other day and he looked at my board and he goes, oh, are those, listings that you're hoping to get? I says, no, honey, those are all sold. He goes, oh, that's why you're busy. But I'm home at night. I'm home at 5:30. I actually cook dinner for my husband and I actually invite all of my kids to come over and we have a big meal together. I mean, I still lead a normal life. Which
is my favorite part of all of it. Like to gain that sort of happiness and joy while growing a business, while, the messiest middle, you're like past the ugly part, past the painful part, and you've done it all with such grace and finding joy and balance, and that's the best part. So thank you.
It is.
I love you to pieces.
Couldn't have done it without you. And it is so fun to have this really exciting goal. And I love it when I can text you and say, oh, I'm meeting with so-and-so to talk about buying her database. It just makes me happy inside.
Awesome. Okay, so we'll talk soon. We're going to follow up soon as we continue to buy databases and as we sell your business.
Yeah.
You can get ready to retire. Me too. All right. Take care, Cora.